What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video, and today we got my first bracketology of the year, bracketology with Dannyology, and we're doing this right before Feast Week, and we're going to have an updated version of my bracketology coming after Feast Week, so be on the lookout for those, guys, and make sure you guys subscribe for more college basketball content. This season has been really fun so far. It's looking like it's going to be a good year, so make sure you guys subscribe. Let's get into this bracketology. The first bracketology with Dannyology of this season, 2 weeks in, and this is what we got so far. Like I said, we're going to do an updated version of this after Feast Week, and there will be a lot of changes because a lot of these top teams will play each other or play some quad 1, quad 2 opponents, and probably more than one. So we are going to get a better feel for a lot of these teams here in the next week or two. So we will have an updated version of these after Feast Week and throughout the season. But first, let's go over my first four out. The first four out, and really these are teams that either took a loss already, or in Georgia's case, which is my first team out, they were the 69th team in out of the field of 68, just barely missed the cusp. They just haven't had a valuable opponent yet, and they're kind of more of an unproven basketball team, so that is why they didn't get in yet. But as long as they keep winning, they will be in here after Feast Week. Boise State, they already have a loss to San Francisco, but then they did bounce back and got a good win over Clemson, so that is going to help them a lot. And Clemson lost to Boise State, but I still think that Clemson is pretty decent, so they are just on the cusp there of being in. And UCLA, they did take an early loss to New Mexico, but I still think that they are going to be able to bounce back, and they are just on the outside here as well. But let's get into who actually made the field of 68 for me. And my top overall seed so far is Gonzaga, and Gonzaga has 3 really good wins already, including obviously a quad 1 win over Baylor, where they absolutely smoked them. They got a good win over Arizona State at home and a good win against San Diego State. So that's 3 really solid wins for Gonzaga already. They're undefeated. I feel like they get the top overall seed at this point in the season. For the 16 seeds, both these teams, I have them at the top team of their league so far. We'll see if that stays true throughout the whole season. Probably not, but we got Purdue, Fort Wayne, or Tennessee State. One of these teams getting that 16 seed. They will have to play in the first 4 games. But the 8-9 matchup, I really like this matchup so far. BYU versus LSU. And BYU, Igor Demon, a really good freshman so far. They've looked really good. They're going to be a sleeper in the Big 12 this year. I got them as an 8 seed right now. They're a team that could go up or down 100%. And another team that could go up or down is LSU. They got a good win on the road at Kansas State. I'm not sure if it's going to be that good of a win by the time it's all said and done. I don't think Kansas State is good at all. But the fact that they did go on the road in a tough environment and still get the job done, I feel like LSU, a 9 seed, that's good for them right now. They deserve it at this point. So we'll see if they can keep it up, but they're definitely a team that could go down or possibly move up. They could surprise a lot of people. I mean, LSU looked pretty good in that game. Creighton at the 5 line. They haven't played any good opponents yet, but they have looked really good, and we do have them here at the 5 line. Grand Canyon at the 12 seed. I think, they had an opportunity to get a good quad 1 win against Arizona State early in the season in the non-con. The fact that they didn't get that win makes me believe they're probably going to have to win their league to get in. So I don't think they are going to get an at-large bid if they do not win the WAC. So I think Grand Canyon's got to win their league. I think they will. I got them in here as a 12 seed. 4 seed Baylor took that early loss to Gonzaga. That's going to turn out to be a quad 1 loss. Not too bad. They're going to have plenty of opportunities, not just in the Big 12 Conference, but here coming up, they do have St. John's, and then depending on how it goes, either Tennessee or Virginia. So they are going to have multiple other quad 1 opportunities, and they already got a quad 1 win over Arkansas. So Baylor definitely going to be in the field. Around the 4 line is where I expect them to be right now. UC Irvine, I expect them to win their league. They've looked pretty good, honestly, the best in their league, so I have them coming out as a 13 seed. 6 seed, another Big 12 team, we do have Cincinnati. Cincinnati haven't played anybody that great yet. They're going to have quad 1 opportunities, not just in the Big 12. I know they play Xavier in that big rivalry game. But yeah, Cincinnati here at the 6 line. The 11 line, that's probably one of my favorite matchups in this first region, is the 6-11 matchup between Cincinnati and Nevada. I feel like that would be down to the wire, really good March Madness game, and I love the pairing there with those two. 3 seed, we got Purdue and Purdue Fort Wayne in the same region, and Purdue got that early win over Alabama, and they just lost last night to Marquette. But still, I feel like around the 3 line is where I expect them to be at this point. That win against Alabama is going to go a long ways for the committee. At the 14 seed, we do have Arkansas State. I got them coming out of the Sun Belt so far. The Sun Belt doesn't look too great at all, to be honest. Usually there is a couple teams, like last year it was App State was really good out of the Sun Belt. But really, the Sun Belt doesn't look that great so far, but I do have Arkansas State as the team that looks the best. Oregon as the 7 seed. I'm a little bit higher than most on Oregon. I feel like they have a pretty good roster. Dana Altman, an underrated coach whenever he gets to March Madness. 7 seed could be dangerous there for the Oregon Ducks. 10 seed, we do have VCU. I do have them getting an at-large bid. So far, they don't have any quad 1 wins, but they're going to have an opportunity here in the Charleston Classic. And if it goes how I predicted it to in one of my last videos yesterday, I have them winning the Charleston Classic Feast Week tournament. So that is going to give them a lot of valuable wins, and I do have them as an at-large right now. I've been very impressed with VCU. 2 seed, we do have Marquette, undefeated, road win at Maryland, a home win against Purdue, and looked amazing so far. Cam Jones is maybe the most prolific scorer in college basketball, at least as a guard. I know you got R.J. Davis and Mark Sears. I think Cam Jones might be the number 1 guy there as the guard, and he had a triple-double yesterday. He can play make as well, and he's really, starting to take over that role as the playmaker. He wasn't able to do that last year with Tyler Kolek, but now it's his team. He's taken over, looking really good. Marquette's here at the 2 seed, and at the 15 seed out of the Big Sky Conference, we got Northern Colorado. And yeah, I think they've looked the best out of their league, so I'm going to go with Northern Colorado at the 15 line. Next region, we got the East region in Newark, New Jersey, and our top overall seed, we do have the UConn Huskies. Haven't had any quad 1 opportunities yet, but they are coming. I think they play Memphis coming up here soon. I'm sure they have other quad 1 opportunities in the non-conference as well. There should probably be a Big East, Big 12 challenge, I'm sure. So they will have their opportunities. 16 line, we do have Bryant or Mercyhurst. They seem kind of random, but out of their leagues, I feel like those were the best options so far. So I got them making the tournament. To be honest, it's probably going to be someone who gets hot at the right time of the conference tournaments, who are going to get a bid steal out of those leagues and steal those 16 seeds. But right now I got Bryant and Mercyhurst as my predicted teams to come out of those leagues. Ohio State at the 8 line. I feel like they could probably be higher than the 8 line. They got a good win over Texas already, and a good, you want to say a good loss, but, not a bad loss against Texas A&M on the road. I think Ohio State, a sleeper in the Big Ten this year. They have the opportunity to move up for sure. Mississippi State at the 9 line, one of those teams. Haven't really played anybody yet. I'm a big fan of Josh Hubbard, though, and Chris Jans. I think Chris Jans is an excellent coach, and I think Mississippi State will be in the tournament this year. I got them at the 9 line right now. Definitely a team that could move up in the future. Florida at the 5 seed. Florida, they've looked pretty good so far. Got a win over Florida State. I'm pretty sure they have another decent win at South Florida. I remember watching that game where they got the win. I got them at the 5 line right now. I feel like pretty good about that. I feel like Florida Gators, they're going to have one of their better seasons. Walter Clayton is looking like one of the top guards in the country. So High Point at the 12 seed. I think High Point makes their first March Madness tournament this year, and not only are they going to make their first March Madness, I got them as high as a 12 seed. I don't feel like the committee would probably gift them with this high of a seed if they do win their league, but if they go undefeated or close to that, they're going to have to reward them with at least the 12 seed. But I feel like High Point, they'll probably end up with a 13 or a 14. I really hope they get the 12 because I could definitely see this High Point team upsetting a 5 seed when we get to March Madness. 4 seed, we do have St. John's. St. John's, I've been very impressed with them so far. I'm not going to lie. They have a lot of really good playmakers. They're going to have another opportunity at Quad 1 win against Baylor here on Thursday. That is going to be an amazing game. They already got a good win over New Mexico. We'll see if they can keep it up, but I got them at the 4 line right now. 13 seed Columbia out of the Ivy League. I'm so used to picking Princeton or possibly Yale out of the Ivy League, but Columbia has really looked like the best team in the Ivy League so far. Princeton is also pretty good, but Princeton did take a loss to Loyola Chicago already this year. That's not a horrible loss. It was a close game, but right now Columbia looks pretty good. Already a win over Villanova this year. We'll see if they can keep it up. Illinois at the 6 line. Illinois has their first real opportunity for a Quad 1 win tonight, and it would be a massive one on the road at Alabama. So that could definitely move them up, but as long as they keep it close, I really probably wouldn't move Illinois that far down, maybe to a 7 if they lose by a lot, but as long as they keep it close, they'll probably stay around this 6 line either way. But if they do somehow beat Alabama tonight on the road, they could definitely move up to as far as, honestly, maybe a 3. So, yeah, big mover opportunity here tonight for Illinois. They would be playing Miami, the 11 seed, another team that is going to be in the Charleston Classic and have some opportunities at some good wins in the non-con. Right now I got Miami as one of the last teams in, honestly, as an 11 seed. 3 seed, we do have Houston, took an early loss, Quad 1 loss to Auburn already this year at home, but I still think they are going to be one of the better teams in the country this year, so I still got them at the 3 line. Houston, it's going to be hard for them to get below, honestly, a 5 this year. I don't see them getting below a 5 seed this year in March Madness. And that's if things go bad in the Big 12 Conference when they get into league play. Hofstra at the 14 line. I got them coming out of their league. Hofstra, maybe a sleeper to pull off an upset in March Madness. Look out for Hofstra, man. Texas A&M at the 7 line. Took a bad loss to Central Florida, although I think Central Florida is pretty decent. Didn't want to lose that one, but they came back, got a good win against Ohio State. So we got Texas A&M here at the 7 line. I feel like that's pretty fair for them at this point. Rutgers at the 10 line, another one of those untested teams. Haven't had a test at a Quad 1 or even a Quad 2 team at this point, but they'll get those opportunities soon. Iowa State at the 2 line, they really haven't had any opportunities either, but I was kind of struggling with who else to put at the 2 line, and right now Iowa State, they have the roster, they have the team, they just haven't had the opportunities to get those big wins yet, but they will be coming. I'm pretty sure they play in the, I want to say the Maui Gym Maui, which is like a really big tournament, so they're going to have a lot of opportunities here in the next couple of weeks. And then we got Bucknell coming out of their league at the 15 line. And that's all I have to say about Bucknell. All right, in our last 2 regions, we do have the Midwest region in Indianapolis, and we do have the South region in Atlanta. Let's start over here with the Midwest region, where our top seed in this one is the Kansas Jayhawks. They got 2 good wins already against Michigan State and North Carolina so far. No doubt they are one of the top teams in the country. Haven't looked honestly as impressive as I thought that they would this year with how loaded their roster is and how deep their roster is, but no doubt they deserve a 1 seed. They've been winning games. 16 seed, we got Alabama A&M coming out of their league here at the 16 line. At the 8 line, we do have Texas. and that is actually not going to be, Big 12 versus Big 12 anymore between Texas and Kansas, because Texas is now in the SEC. So Texas at the 8 seed took an early loss to Ohio State. I expect them to bounce back and be able to make the tournament, but honestly, I expect them around a 7 to 10 seed. I don't expect them to be, what we've been getting out of Texas the last few years is a top 5 seed, if not, a 2 or a 3. So I expect them more around this 8 range this year. 9 seed, we do have New Mexico. They took a loss already to St. John's, but they do have a good win over UCLA, and that's what's keeping them in the field up to this point. UCLA, as you guys can see, is one of my first 4 teams out. New Mexico is in because of that good non-conference win. That's going to help them a lot as far as at-large opportunities in the Mountain West Conference. Wisconsin, we do have them here as the 5 seed. Almost took a bad loss the other night, but they did survive and win that game, and they do have a quad 1 win over Arizona already, which was a pretty big upset. So Wisconsin definitely deserves this spot here at the 5 line up to this point, and looking pretty good. South Dakota State at the 12 line. Sneaky team there against Wisconsin. I'm not gonna lie, I would pick the Jackrabbits over Wisconsin in my bracket if that were to be the March Madness bracket today. Duke at the 4 line, they fall a little bit after that loss to Kentucky. They come back and destroy, who was it? They destroyed some mid-major really badly, but Duke still at the 4 line. I just could not put them above Kentucky. As you guys can see, Kentucky is down here at the 2 line after that very, very impressive win over Duke. But Duke had to be a 4 seed up to this point, but definitely going to be a lot more opportunities for Duke to move up or stay around a 4 seed or move down potentially. We'll see if they can do it. But they looked really good, honestly, especially defensively. They really impressed me. So I expect Duke to honestly move back up to the 3 or the 2 line by the end of the year. Austin Peay, the 13 line. I really want to see them come out of the ASUN conference. I think it's between them and a couple other teams, maybe North Florida, who just took their second loss. Now they start off 3-0, and now they're 3-2. So I had to go with Austin Peay over North Florida out of the ASUN conference, but either way, those would be 2 really fun teams to have in March Madness this year, so I'm hoping it's one of them. At the 6th line, we do have Arizona, and Arizona, like what we mentioned earlier, they took that loss to Wisconsin already this year. They got to be down here at the 6th line. At the 11 line, we do got Maryland or San Francisco, 2 of my last teams out in the at-large bids, and that's right, we got a 3-bid West Coast Conference. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and San Francisco are all making my tournament. San Francisco gets in because they got a win over Boise State already. And as you guys can see, Boise State is one of my first 4 teams out. San Francisco, one of my last 4 teams in. So that was a huge win for the Dons in the non-conference. They're undefeated. Look out for them. Maryland only lost so far at home to Marquette in a close one. They are also one of my last 4 teams in at this point. Alabama at the 3 line. Took a loss to Purdue already, but they're going to have a quad 1 opportunity against Illinois tonight, as I mentioned earlier, at home. We'll see if they can bounce back. I think they will. Furman at the 14 line. I got them coming out of their league. Even with losing guys like JP Peggs to Auburn, Furman still looks kind of solid as a mid-major, so look out for Furman to maybe make March Madness once again. They were able to pull off an upset last time. I think it was a 13-4 when they upset Virginia just a couple of years ago on a buzzer beater. Pitt at the 7 line. Pitt's looked honestly very impressive so far. They got a lot of guys that can score the ball for them and play make, and they got some paint protectors with the Diaz-Graham brothers. And yeah, Pitt's been pretty solid so far, and I got them here as a 7 seed in March Madness. At the 10 seed, we do have Michigan. And Michigan, although they did take a loss to Wake Forest already this year, which I think is, maybe could hurt them in the future. They're going to have more opportunities, and I do have them at the 10 line. Kind of talked about Kentucky already for the 2 line. They deserve it after that win against Duke. That is going to, that's a quad 1 win that is going to carry all the way to March. So that is a really good early win there for Kentucky, and right now I got them as a 2 seed in March Madness, and they are going to be playing another team from the state of Kentucky at the 15 seed in Murray State. And finally, we got our last region to break down for you guys. It is the South region in Atlanta, Georgia, and our top overall seed is the Auburn Tigers, top seed in this region. Auburn, no doubt about it, just like we were talking about, Kentucky's win is going to carry them all the way to March over Duke. Auburn, the same thing with their win over Houston. That is going to carry all the way to March Madness. The reason I do have Auburn above Kentucky at this point is because I think Auburn's win being a true road game against Houston, whether versus Kentucky's win over Duke being a neutral court game, I had to give it to Auburn, so I do have Auburn here as the 1 seed. 16 seed, we got Mount St. Mary's coming out of their league, and just below Mount St. Mary's at the 8 seed, we have St. Mary's. So the Gales get in a good win over Nebraska already this year. St. Mary's here at the 8 line. Wake Forest, just talked about Michigan at the 10 line. The team that beat them in a close one was Wake Forest. We got Wake Forest at the 9 line. They cracked the tournament. That would be very interesting 8-9 matchup between St. Mary's and Wake Forest. 8-9 matchups are always so fun. Texas, New Mexico, I think I had, BYU, LSU. Those would all be fantastic 8-9 matchups right now. Xavier as the 5 seed. They're another team. They got the win over Wake Forest. That is why Wake Forest isn't higher for getting the win over Michigan, is because Xavier did beat Wake Forest, and that was a good win for them. But I don't hold it against Wake Forest too much. It was on the road. It's a tough place to play in, Xavier. And I think Xavier is a really good team. So that's going to hold true as a quad 1 loss, I believe, for Wake Forest. Wichita State is my 12 seed for this region. I actually have them winning the bid, getting a bid steal for the American Conference, and I have Memphis as one of my last teams in. If we go down just a little bit to the 11 seed, Memphis gets the 11 as one of my last teams in as an at-large. Wichita State gets the bid steal in the American. We got 2 bids in the American Conference. Indiana at the 4 seed. We got the Hoosiers here, and I think that they've looked fantastic so far this year. I've been very impressed with Indiana. Haven't had any quad 1 opportunities yet, but they will be coming. McNeese at the 13 seed. I kind of wanted to put them at the 12 seed, but honestly, they just haven't deserved it so far this year. Took a loss to South Dakota State, which is really the main reason I have South Dakota State at the 12 line over McNeese. I think that was crucial because I really do like South Dakota State to come out of their league as well. So McNeese, I think they'll probably win their league, but they might be more of a 13-14 instead of a 12 seed. 6 seed, we do have Arkansas. Arkansas already took a loss to Baylor this year, but they are going to have much more opportunities. I still think that they're a pretty solid team. Got them here at the 6th line. Already talked about Memphis. I think they get in as an at-large at this point. Haven't really had too many impressive wins, but they are going to have opportunity against UConn. What a win that would be if they can beat UConn. I think that they could definitely pull off an at-large bid for this one. But I do have them as one of the last teams in at large, and same with Dayton. We also have Dayton. I had talked about VCU earlier. We have a 2-bid A10 conference. Dayton here at the 11 line with Memphis in the first 4 game. And then at the 3 seed, we do have North Carolina in this region. They do have a loss to Kansas on the road. That is definitely a quad 1 loss in Allen Fieldhouse, toughest place to play in college basketball. And they really kept it close and really had their opportunities to win that game. So North Carolina, I think they deserve a 3 seed right now. Liberty at the 14 seed. Got them winning their league. They're undefeated so far. looking pretty decent. 7 seed in this region, we got Texas Tech, teams that just haven't had very many quad 1 opportunities yet, but they've been pretty solid, so I expect them to be well in the field, and I got them here as a 7 seed. At the 10 seed, it says Michigan. I think I accidentally messed up there, because as you can see, at the other 10 seed on the other side, I had Michigan. This one, I think, is supposed to be Michigan State, guys. So Michigan State here at the 10 line. Michigan and Michigan State both getting a 10 seed at this point. Michigan State, you know, they got a loss to Kansas already, but I still think they haven't looked bad whatsoever. I think a 10 line right now, but definitely opportunities for them to move up. And 2 seed, we got Tennessee in this region. And Tennessee, so far, they got a win over Louisville. And they're going to have their opportunity against Virginia and then either St. John's or Baylor as well here coming up in a couple of days. So some more opportunities for some good wins for them. And then now the MAC Conference. The MAC Conference, I'll be honest, guys, the MAC Conference has looked really bad so far. I have no idea who's going to come out of that league. But right now I'm going to give it to Toledo, because Toledo hasn't looked as bad as the rest of them. But the MAC looks to be pretty bad. Usually you can expect the MAC Conference to get a 13 or a 14 seed, maybe even a 12, but I got them down here as a 15 seed because the MAC just hasn't looked that good this year, to be honest with you guys. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think about my bracketology, and who do you guys think got snubbed? Do you think one of my first 4 out got snubbed? Is there some other team that got snubbed that you guys think should be in up to this point in the season? It's still really early. This is only 2 weeks in, and we are going to have an updated one here probably in about 2 weeks after all the Feast Week tournaments wrap up. We are going to learn a lot more about these teams. I feel like I had to say over and over again, well, this team, you know, I feel like they should be well in, but they haven't had a quad 1 opportunity yet. They're going to get those opportunities, so we will have much more data for our bracketology after Feast Week, which we will be doing. So make sure you guys subscribe if you guys have not already. Much more college basketball content coming your way as well, and thank you so much for watching.